Hi there. It's another Sunday. Sorry, we took a bit of time getting on the show today. We just experienced some technical difficulties, but we're here now, and it's the Way Show Weekly. My name is Wally, and it's nice to be here again to see you guys. And today again we've got a loaded package. We've got two wonderful women that will going to be joining us first part of the show, and part later in the show we'll be discussing football and other sports. But for now, I would obviously like to welcome our first guest. So we just crack on. Get our first guest on. Our first guest on is someone who is an achiever. I will call an achiever. Who's done pretty much well for herself, and obviously in the area of hospitality, estate management, and if you wouldn't believe this, in sports also. So I'm talking about no other person than Moyo Ogunseinde. Moyo, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, it's so nice to have you here. And Moyo, let me just start by asking you this. Usually what we do when we bring our guests in, for you to tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Moyo?
Okay, so Moyo is a real estate developer, a designer, and a business entrepreneur. I have over 20 years working in real estate, and in the last 20 years I've built several properties that are in hospitality sector, residential sector, and in the sports recreational sector as well. Some of my projects are the Radisson Blu Victoria Island, a hotel based in Victoria Island in Lagos, several residential projects in Abuja, a few in Lagos, and Upbeat, West Africa's first trampoline center, and fitness and lifestyle center as well. I'm also a chairperson of Lagos State Gymnastics Association, also a member of Nigerian sports of the NESG, the sports thematic group for the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, and also a board member of Lagos State Sports Trust Fund. So I'm at the cusp of real estate meets sports and design and business. So that's where my life sort of sits. I'm the unlikely person sort of like for sports, because I'm not an athlete. I'm not necessarily an athlete, or I'm not necessarily someone that watches sports per se. But what I bring to the sports conversation is I build the infrastructure and the backbone for sports. So in order to play sports, I'll build the pools, I'll design and build and manage the stadiums, any sports infrastructure. That is where I thrive, to ensure that it's planned well, designed well, constructed well, handed over well, and maintained well. That is my passion.
Thank you for that. I actually wanted to pick you up on the gymnastics. You just said to me you're not a sports person, but what prompted you to go into gymnastics? Let me start with that question before I go into some of the stuff, especially with your trampoline company. So what prompted you into gymnastics?
Yeah, it was actually my daughter. I'm a mother. My mother is 3. My daughter, she's 12 years old now. And when she was 2 or 3, I was like, oh, she's got so much energy like I had. And I needed to channel it into something positive. And I met a wonderful coach, Coach Ben Alonge, a really great gymnastics coach. And he started teaching her, and she got really good at it. And he started encouraging me to get involved. He was like, I supported my daughter so well. I got her all the equipment. There were no equipment. I got her, so many equipment. My house had a mini gym in it. And he was like, why don't you support the administration Gymnastics Association. And from there, I went from the Lagos State Gymnastics Association. I went to become a board member of the Federation, Nigerian Gymnastics Federation. So from my family to, that's how the passion to support sports really started for my daughter.
Okay. And obviously, we all know Lagos is the center of excellence.
Yeah.
Anything happens, it's in Lagos. So, what are your plans for gymnastics in Lagos? One. Two is, are you in any way also as a member, sorry, as a chairperson of the Lagos State Gymnastics Association, are you in any way also a contributory factor to the national body of gymnastics?
Yeah. So our plans, thank you for that question. Our plans for the Lagos State Gymnastics Association are short term, mid term, long term. Short term is to what we did in the first year that we've been there. One, to get our constitution right. So we have a constitution for our board now, because governance, from the private sector, I know governance is really important.
Mhm.
So from having our constitution, we also got a technical director. We brought Coach Ben along, get to help the Lagos State coaches as well. From there, we're also now reaching out to the suburb, which is the school board of education for Lagos State, to allow us to do some roadshows into some of the districts, the key districts, about, I think there's 6 or so, some of the districts, and get some to introduce gymnastics to the to the students. We're also having some plans for training plans, where we're going to train some coaches, because gymnastics is very technical, so realize that there's been a lack of training for decades. And because there's lack of training, you don't have the athletes are not really, so lack of training is very important. Lack of training of not just the coaches, but lack of training of also the judges. um,
Mhm.
it's very important because it's technical. You need to know how to, to judge and be judged. You need to know the technical rules. And we also brought on board someone from FIG in the name of Seiko. Seiko works for FIG, the Federation Internationale de Gymnastique, and he's the African representative for FIG. We brought him on board last year as well to meet us and share with us the vision for FIG. So he's been able to send us some policies. So we also created some policies. So the stage we're at now actively is training coaches and training, and and our aim, our vision is, we're meant to bring some coaches from South Africa to come and train our coaches. And we're meant to bring 3 coaches, and 3 coaches would have trained about 20 coaches. 20 coaches would train, it's really like our vision is for a mushroom effect of gymnastics in terms of training. Long term, we want to build a purpose-built gymnastics center. And what I mean by that is Lagos State has some fantastic equipment. It has probably one of the best, maybe second now to Edo State, because Edo has bought so many equipment for the postponed
Sports festival. Yeah.
sports, but they invested a lot in equipment. But Lagos State has, but the equipment doesn't have a purpose-built space. So it keeps on, they fold it up, they open it, they close it. So the aim is we want to build a purpose-built center for gymnastics, where the athletes can come Monday to all whenever they want, I'll keep with all health and safety regulations, and they can train whenever. And lastly, sorry for this,
All
we're
right.
also streamlining the type of gymnastics we want to do, because gymnastics is also technical, and some of them require a lot of equipment. We're looking at, why don't we focus in gymnastics that we have a comparative advantage of, meaning we're able to learn quicker. So things like aerobic gymnastics that has to do with more floor, and we're very strong people. We have good rhythmic gymnastics, and look less at at Artistic, where they've gone, they have the equipment. We'll focus on trampoline where you can, it's just one equipment. We'll focus on DMT, one equipment again. So it's really also being strategic, I say long term, we would like to, fast track and scale. What's that word? When you want to, is it scale? It's not necessarily to scale, you want to sort of leapfrog. So to see a way how we can leapfrog by looking at our comparative advantage in terms of equipment and agility, our physique, to look at sports and less investment that will help us to, advance really quickly at an international stage as well.
That seems very lofty ideas and a lot of dreams too, and we can only wish you well for that. And obviously we'll be keeping up with what you're doing with gymnastics in Lagos State and especially in Nigeria. So let me now take you to something very interesting I found out when I was researching about you. Yeah. So you built the first trampoline center in West Africa.
Yeah,
I mean, that's quite an achievement. What I know you have this passion for gymnastics, which obviously was more like pushed on you, permit me to use those words now, by your daughter. So why did you decide to say, trampolining? Why did you decide to do that?
Why? It was because, sports is really important. It was really important to me, my daughter, because of my daughter, as you said, but it's also a business venture as well. I think all over the world, trampolining in the last 5 years or maybe 10 years, you have trampoline centers in the UK. I believe you're in the UK and all over the world. And so we needed something that was a cross between a commercial venture and something that could support the sports community as well. If it was purely aerobic floor, the public it would have been purely sports. The public would not have been able to contribute. So it was a balance, left to me. If it wasn't a business thing, I would have yes, my dream is to build, a fully fledged gymnastics center that has at least 5 of the disciplines, at least artistic, rhythmic, trampolining, all that. But because it was a commercial venture, trampolining could accommodate both the public and both professional athletes as well who are learning trampolining. So Lagos State athletes, some of them train at our center as well for trampolining.
So where's this center now? And I know due to COVID, things have been on hold. Obviously, that will affect the flow of people into the trampoline center. So where is this center?
We're based in Lekki, Phase 1, which is in the Lekki Peninsula, Lekki axis of Lagos, Nigeria. And we've been open now for over 3 years now, and it's been really amazing. We also have 5-a-side football. We also have a basketball court and other activities for the family. It's really a lifestyle center because it's a community center. The problem with Nigeria is because of the safety factor and because Nigerians, our real estate developers did not build community centers. Our community centers, unfortunately, are centered around parties, event centers. But we said, look, we are here. The company I work for is called Uraga Real Estate. It's a subsidiary of Honeywell Group. And we said, we are here to add value to our community. And the best way we can add value in a long-term sustainable way is through building a community center like Upbeat. And our vision is to take it beyond Lekki to Ikeja, to Abuja, Port Harcourt, and West Africa, because communities are important. And with this COVID era, we've seen how important communities are. People will just want to hug. We'll hug a tree now. We need each other. We need each other. And it keeps our children are safer when they're in community centers. They're healthier. Everything is you just build a bond that creates safety and unity for your community. in community centers like Upbeat.
Just like you mentioned, growing up in Nigeria, actually, we all felt the only way we could probably enjoy ourselves outside the comfort of our, as a sort of flats, apartment, whatever you want to call it, it's probably just visiting Bar Beach, going to shopping complex, drive around town, and then come back home. That's it. In places like in the UK, it's totally different because you have quite a lot of places you can take your people. I mean, you can take your children to, and obviously because the kids nowadays are really, really extra hyper. And so we take trampoline center like that. I mean, it would be a quite a plus. And obviously, when you now decide to extend it to other parts of Lagos and other parts of the country, I mean, that could be a plus too. And that would be a great thing to do. Moyo, I want to ask you something. You're a very experienced person in facility structure development. You've got experience with the Olympics in London.
Yes,
with the
yes.
company.
Yeah, that was
back then. So yeah, what was you saying that we tend to have this problem, this issue of not being able to keep our facilities intact. The National Stadium there is a perfect example. I mean, it's an eyesore. And with people like you, with the experience you've gathered from England, taking to Nigeria, what do you see? What do you see as a remedy, for these issues? For example, taking National Stadium as an example, it's a monument, it's an edifice. I mean, it should have been improved on, but it is an eyesore at the moment. So what do you think we can do to actually improve on managing facilities in Nigeria?
Let me just give you an overview because you mentioned the Olympics project. I mean, that was part of my experience. One of my first jobs was working in an architectural firm in the UK that got the project to do the master plan and the legacy project for the Olympics, the London Olympics 2012 bid. And what I learned at that stage was, the process of the bid was so well planned. The master planning was so well planned that it really took a family. There were structural engineers, architects, there were environmental designers, there were economists, there were scientists. It was, and on top of that whole team, there were leadership structures.
Okay, I think we lost Moyo there for a second. We'll try as much as possible to get Moyo back on the studio.
Sorry, I'm back again.
Yeah. So, all right. Hi, Moyo. Can you hear us?
I'm sorry.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
It's all right.
There were. I'm so sorry. Someone called to my phone. There were leadership structures all in place, and the whole leadership structure meant that there were clear lines of responsibility, pre-design, design, planning, execution, and we had a plan for afterwards, what we'll do with it afterwards. Yeah. So this was like 5 years in the planning, in thinking about how we're going to execute all these projects. So what we need, and I hope and I believe it's the cusp of it, because we have a new administration and they're planning a new sports policy, is for us to rethink these existing structures and to replan how we can regenerate them in a more profitable manner. Because the National Stadium in Abuja it's a district. It's huge. I know what's happening to the Arsenal Stadium. I know what's happening all over these stadiums. They literally they've become retail centers. They've become hotels. They've become shopping malls, retail center. So that they're not left as monuments, but what we have is we force the community to come to use those spaces because the retail centers are there, the hotels are there. So residential people live around it. And that's what we need. One of my dreams is to take one of these centers and plan a regeneration project for these monuments to see how we can ensure that they have a life, a legacy plan. To do a legacy plan for the national stadium, to do a legacy plan for the stadium in Abuja, and whichever sports facility we have. What is this legacy project plan around it that is anchored on economics, social factor, and everything that will make it run beyond any administration, anybody, but just run for the community in a long-term sustainable manner.
And you're also into hospitality. How's COVID affected hospitality in Nigeria at the moment? I know around there quite a lot of the hotels are probably shut down, experiencing less people. So how are you guys coping?
We've been very blessed, I must say. We were able to gain to use our hotel for long stay guests. So certain industries needed to have their staff, especially in the telecoms sector and the technology sector. They needed to have their staff housed for long periods of time, call centers. So all of our rooms were taken over by those kinds of people. So that's been our saving grace. However, our restaurants and all that are closed to the public, but the rooms are completely taken. So sorry. I have a child that's screaming.
It's okay. It's okay. We know how that goes. Apart from also being an architect, you also design. I mean, I saw some of things you designed as an artist, and some of them are actually in the Radisson Blue in Victoria. Where do you get this inspiration from?
All around me, and my culture. I grew up in Ibadan, and Yoruba, and I've always loved history and culture, and I've always felt this responsibility to keep it going, and I love our stories. So our stories have always, because of that love of our stories and our culture and our materials, and the fact that I'm in real estate development, it's really hard. I'm in construction site. It keeps me inspired. I love to be inspired, and that keeps me inspired. It keeps me on a hard day, it's nice to take a piece of paper and just sketch, and that's the artist in me, to relieve the tension while keeping my culture alive.
Yeah, and real estate in Nigeria, estate management really. I schooled in Nigeria, and back then in the uni days, we always thought estate management should be for men, for boys. Women should be doing some other stuff. But you've broken the mold. I mean, how easy or how difficult is it for you to integrate, in a male-dominated industry?
Thing is, I think my nature, I've never looked at my gender. I just did what I had to do. You know what I mean? If you look at yourself, I'm a woman. I never really, I just knew this was my passions. This is what God has sent me to do. Let's go. Architecture, because I entered by the way of architecture as well. So when I'm doing real estate development, bringing the teams together, not many people can pull a wool over my eyes, because I know what it's about. So it's really about ensuring that you are good at what you do, you understand what you do, and there's integrity in your words. So when you're there in construction, in development, your word is your bond. People know that you know what you're doing, so they can't really take advantage of you. And if you're in those situations, if I ever did get, a couple of times on construction site, you do get into those funny situations, asking for wisdom to actually get yourself out of those situations, not putting yourself in compromising situations. But if you happen to be there, asking for the wisdom to ensure you get yourself out of that. It's in any industry, but once you stand for the right thing, you'll be fine.
And I know quite a lot of other Nigerians in diaspora, not just in the UK, Europe and America, that are obviously thinking about We want to bring ideas to Nigeria. We want to do something in Nigeria. We want to remember our country and do something. I mean, what advice would you give to those people, especially in the fact that you were in that shoe, you were like that before? I mean, you were here, and then you decided to go back to Nigeria to, do what you've been doing, which has been brilliant. So, what advice would you give to them?
Okay. I was sharing this with a friend of mine a couple of days ago. I saw an image, and that image reminded me of a vision I actually had. I had a vision of myself actually when I was working in the UK. I saw a vision of myself. What is this place going on? Light has gone.
Okay.
Carry on. You can hear my voice though.
Yeah, we can hear. You can hear your voice. Continue, Moyo.
Yeah, so I had this vision of myself one day. This was like 4 months before I moved back to Nigeria. I always knew I would go back, but I didn't know when. I was working in an architectural firm. So I had this vision of myself managing people. And as I was managing people, they were, I was a team of people in hospitality, and they were serving drinks for prominent and food for prominent people. And when I woke up, and my father was there as well, I was serving my father and his friends, different prominent people. And when I woke up, I just had this conviction that I had to go home to fulfill that purpose, to create hospitality products that would serve prominent people, both food and drinks. And that's why I just knew that was God speaking to me to say it's time. And so the first thing for me is I follow the leading of God, and I did follow that leading. And I made sure that I planned and that there was a structure to when I got home in terms of getting a job, getting the support system, because it could have been hard if I didn't have a support system. And that's how I jumped.
Okay.
Back home.
So your advice obviously would be for people, if you got a dream, go for it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, and it's really worked for you. And apologies to those watching that are not from Nigeria.
I'm so sorry.
That experience what you just experienced, and even those that are Nigerians that are thinking about going back home, and they'll be like, oh, you see what I'm saying now? This is one of the reasons I don't want to go back home. So apologies to you.
You know what? There's nowhere like home.
Exactly.
I remember when I moved back that first year, it was crazy. But when you want to laugh, there's a belly full laugh. I can't explain. When you want to laugh, when you want to laugh from inside your stomach, when you want to feel a deep contentment, you know where it's at. It's at home. It's really home. And so apart from that, the fact that you're giving back in such an obvious way, when you do something, it's so tangible. It's so tangible that you've given back. I love that you're doing something and you're giving back. The fact that you do an investment and infrastructure here, you see people using those things in a way, okay, they were kicking ball on the sand, but they're kicking on AstroTurf. They were, a disabled person came into one of my properties and all the accesses were there, the ramps, everything. I was like, the joy. Women had places where they could, it's notable that you're making an impact. That's what I love about working or doing things in Africa. You're making an impact.
And one of the ways you're making an impact is that I think organization or charity, shall I call it, called Women in Business. Is it called Wanake? Did I pronounce that?
Yes, it's a Wanake. Yes.
Wanake. So tell us a bit about that. What's that all about?
It's basically supporting women in business, in sports and hospitality, because those are the places. I mean, you could say I could have done in real estate, but real estate it's a platform that's established. But as I got into sports and hospitality, I realized women don't have that much support as well. So just being able to get more training for them and visibilities, it's part of my passion for Wanamke. We're meant to do a lot more this year, but COVID has really taken that off track. But we'll look forward to 2021 to do more stuff to support women in sports and hospitality, because there are not enough women in sports. And I'm not saying necessarily from the athletics side, the whole value chain, supporting them to know the business side of it, which is where I fall, because there are not a lot of us, but there are few, and us being able to encourage young ladies from school to know that there are opportunities. I mean, not many people know, people that design the infrastructure of sports are necessary. We all just speak about the media people, the athletes, the governance people, but all that is nothing if you don't have the people that are going to give the platforms for all these to exist.
We will, just like I said at the beginning, we'll keep tabs with you, and we will definitely be looking forward to Wanamke, right, in 2021. And the Way Show Weekly will always be there for you to support, and
Thank you
of
so
course
much.
lend a helping hand for our women, and because it's all about. Someone said, if you educated one woman, you've educated the nation, and that we totally believe in that. Moyo, thank you very much for today. We
Thank you
thank you
so
for
much.
this, despite everything. We thank you for
I'm so
coming on
sorry,
the show.
my kids.
And no, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. We one day again, we hope to get you back to this show. And obviously, when everything is settled, COVID is settled and everything, so we'll talk more about it.
Thank you
And
for inviting me. I really
yeah,
appreciate
and
it.
yes,
Thank
we
you so
will.
much.
We will definitely. Thank you, and have a nice week ahead of you.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you, Moyo. Thank you. Thank you. So that was Moyo Ogunseinde, very energetic woman. She is not just an artist. She's a real estate person. She's an architect. She's a sports person. A sports management person. So she is the total package. Permit me to use that word. I mean the words. So that was Moyo, and she also had some very nice words to say about people that have got plans to relocate back to Nigeria. And I know in the process of saying that, NEPA struck, which wasn't too fantastic. But again, she did brush that aside to say, you know what, there's no place like home. So if you're watching in the diaspora, you're thinking about, oh Lord, you know what, I need to take my skills, take my project, take my dreams back home to Africa. This is the right time. So Moyo, obviously had a dream, had a vision, picked up her bags one day and decided, you know what, I just need to do it. And what did she come out with? The first trampoline center in the whole of West Africa. Quite an achievement. And also some beautiful things she's done with Radisson Blue, the famous hotel in Victoria Island, what she's doing in gymnastics and other stuff. So that was Moyo. Thank you again for coming on the show. Nancy, taking comments now from people that are watching the show. Nancy says, I love the way show. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you for the sweet words. X-Barker, thumbs up. You're a regular on the show. Cleopatra, sending our love to everyone on the show. Thank you so much. I think, Nancy also said Moyo was it's a great lady. Indeed, she is. And the way show, obviously, we're saying sorry, folks. NEPA, PHCN, whatever the name are nowadays. This struck, and well, it was okay. The show must go on. So next on the show, we've got a lady that was with us last week, but due to some technical problems, she had to just get off the show. And obviously, we did promise that we're going to bring her back on the show. It's the ex-beauty queen who is into fashion designing, Tessy Bibowei. Tessy, hello. Welcome to the show again, Tessy. Second week running. I tell you what, Tessy, you are the first person on the show to appear twice.
Are you serious?
So quite an achievement. Quite an achievement for you.
I'm really happy to be back.
Thank you, Tessy. So Tessy, last week we were talking about transforming from being a beauty queen into fashion designing and what the transmission was for you. So tell me, I've seen some of your brilliant designs. I mean, they're beautiful. What actually led you to say, I'm leaving beauty pageantry and going into fashion design? What led you to that?
Okay. think the fashion thing has always been an inbuilt in me. I've always had a passion for fashion. Right from when I was a teenager till even my university days, people used to call me a fashionista.
Okay.
So yeah, I've always loved to play dress up. I used to style my friends back then in school. So yeah, that's where the fashion thing actually came in. But building a brand, going into the fashion business properly, started in 2016. It was a year after my youth service. So yeah, the hunt for looking for a good paying job wasn't forthcoming, and the only thing that came to my mind at that time was fashion. And I've always wanted to have my own intimate working space, own a business, and fashion was the only thing that could come to my mind, and I had to go with the flow.
Exactly.
So yes, I actually went into some research. I did some research about fashion. I also asked people in the fashion field, how to go into the business properly. And yeah, that's like the 2 3 4 by Kiri Fashion came in. And
Okay.
yes, before I started properly, before I actually started the business, I remember I told my parents about it, and it wasn't an easy one to explain to them. My mom, my mom kind of looked at me crazy, like, what's going to happen to your degree? Don't tell me you went into, you wasted your years in the university only for you to become a tailor in a word.
Taylor.
Yes, a typical Nigerian parents. But yeah, I didn't let that, stop me. And yeah.
So that's beautiful. I mean, it's just like Moyo that we had in. I mean, it's always good when you see women that are inspired, to go the extra length and to do what it's totally out of the norm, and obviously, do what they are skilled in, and it's really good. So, at the moment, you are concentrating in fashion designing. How's that going for you, especially now? Coronavirus, do you have quite a lot of customers coming to you for your fashion?
The corona kind of puts the world in lockdown. Like every business from every sector are on lockdown. So yes, the whole pandemic policy, the stay at home, the restriction kind of affected every businesses, mostly my kind of business. But the good thing is we're alive.
That's it.
And when there's life, there is hope. So
Especially.
hopefully, as things ease down, we'll be able to pick up from where we stopped.
Okay. So, in the fashion business, it's not just the designing; it's also the production of the clothes, of the dress you're making. So, how do you get
Yes.
what's your supply chain like? Do you get your materials locally sourced in Nigeria? Or do you get them from abroad?
Yeah, they're locally sorted in Nigeria. I get my fabrics from Nigeria. We have a good market for fabrics in Nigeria, actually. So yeah, I get most of my fabrics from Nigeria. Unless a client is bringing their own fabric. Yeah. Apart from that, we have a good market for fabrics in Nigeria.
Okay. And what's the process like for you selling? Do you, apart from designing and obviously making clothes for people, do you also make special ones and then sell via retail or in wholesale?
Yeah, I do. I do the ready to wear. I have the ready to wear designs for people that just walk into the showroom to just pick instead of waiting for fabric to be made. I have the ready to wear for you to just pick and see if it fits.
Okay. And I mean, your fashion house is based in Lagos, right?
Yes,
Any plans to
I
open
actually
somewhere else?
moved into Lagos last year.
Okay. So any plans to,
Yeah.
move anywhere else? Where are you looking at?
No, Lagos is where the market is. I don't live in Lagos. Lagos is where the market is.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So last week I was in the middle of asking you a question when we had the
Okay.
technical problems about Nigerian girls. So I've got quite a lot of friends around here in the UK that say if you want the best looking girls, the most beautiful girls, go to Africa and especially Nigeria. Is that true?
That's definitely true to an extent.
To an extent.
To
So
an
what's the other
extent, yeah.
extent?
Nigeria,
To an extent. Okay.
beauty goes beyond beauty goes beyond look. You have to be smart, intelligent, good charisma. So yeah, it goes beyond look. And I think Nigeria women has a lot of that in them. So I would say Nigeria has most of the beauty figures in Africa.
So we're looking at some of your designs now, and for me, I think apart from being beautiful, I mean it's kind of like modern, and it's it needs a very, very creative brain to come out with stuff like this. Um, how often do you come out with your designs? Do you come out with designs like this?
Well, I did start as an upscale clothing line. Yeah, the business kind of started. It was made to be priced at both high and low end to reflect the kind of fabric used. So yeah, I create designs like every year. I try to bring new designs every year.
Okay, and obviously, like you said, it's affordable to every person, not just the rich, high, and mighty people. Do you also cater for
Yeah.
people who obviously like design, like fashion, but they might not be able to entirely afford the big time?
Like I said, I did start as an upscale clothing line.
Mm.
Yeah, it was made to be priced at high and low ends to
Mhm.
reflect the fabric being used. But the key message associated with my brand is versatile, of course upscale, classy, a blend of cultural and contemporary designs. So
Okay.
yes.
All right, that's beautiful, Tessy. I'm just going to read a few of comments from people watching you. One of
Okay.
someone just said you are a role model to us. And much love to you. That's from Nancy.
Thank
Cleopatra
you.
said, Nancy actually totally agree with you that Lagos is where the market is. Okay,
True. True.
that's true.
True.
That's where all the
Lagos
millions
is
and the
like the
billions.
Miami of Nigeria right now.
Oh, it's Miami
It's
of Nigeria. So
Echo Miami.
oh, yeah. So there are a lot of fashion shows around the country.
Mhm.
Sandra with a regular uh, um, view of this show says, hello, another beautiful episode. Thank you, Sandra. So we were just saying, if you there are a lot of fashion shows around. Do you attend some, or do you also are you looking forward to attending fashion shows around, like Paris Fashion Show, London Fashion Show, and stuff like that to showcase what you have? Is that part of your dream, or are you just content with just dealing with the people in Nigeria?
No, that's the ultimate goal. Is to go worldwide. It's not only in Nigeria, Africa, and the world as a whole. That's my ultimate goal. So yes, I want to see myself in Paris one day. My
Yeah.
designs on the runway. It's my prayer, and I hope I get there. I'm still a work in progress, but
Yeah.
hopefully, yes.
I just saw some of the designs for the men, and what is this about Ankara, the Nigerian fabric, not just the Nigerian, the African fabric? I mean, it's
hmm
it's it's resurfaced in the fashion world. Why do you, in your own opinion, why do you think this is so? I mean, some beautiful shots there by men and the top. You see nowadays people put on shirts and then with the Ankara at the
Ankara
bottom.
shorts.
Where's that? Yeah, shorts or probably trousers. Where's that come from? I mean, it's really beautiful.
No, it's good that our African prince, the Ankara, has put us in the world map. It's not only in Africa, even the world. Everybody wears the Ankara, as a mix and match. And it's a good thing. I mean, fashion is aggressively developing in Nigeria and in Africa. I think we just need to keep creating. We just need to, keep bringing our design and exploit our beautiful designs around the world. Because yes, our Ankara fabric have really put us in the world map. So yes.
Do you support this dream, or probably this scenario where Nigerians do less of suits, and do more of the traditional attire? Is it something like in India? I mean, they've got their own Indian attire. Mostly Indians wear their attire. Do you think, and do you also support that notion that Nigerians should wear more, or Africans should wear more of the traditional attire, especially when they're in Africa, and even especially when they're going abroad too? They're taking trips abroad. They should wear more of it than wearing suits and European dress.
Yes, I support that notion. It's our brand, it's our design. We should, we should appreciate and support our brands, our designs, our fabrics, mostly the Ankara fabric. Yes, I think we should continue even when we're abroad. We should keep wearing our designs. I mean, the English wears like the suits, they are not our tradition.
Culture,
They are not our traditional, culture. Yes, like you said. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we should
All right.
continue.
All right. Well, yeah. Well, thank you, Tessy. Like I said, you are the first person to appear on the show twice, so that's an honor. So we can only wish you the very best, and one day we would. When I see you in the Paris fashion show or London fashion show, I'll say, yeah, I know that lady. I know that lady.
Amen.
And just be sure that we will definitely call on you. We love those designs you saw on the show, and anytime we come knocking in Nigeria, we'll be able to say, you know what, Tessy, this is something nice for us. Especially with those Ankaras and what have you, and you'll be readily available to do that for us.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Tessy. Thanks for coming on the show. I wish you all the very best. All the very best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Bye.
All right. And so that was us, Tessy. Tessy was on the show last week. So Tessy is the beauty queen, or was a beauty queen, and then ended up being a fashion designer. And so it's it's super unique. It's always good to follow your dream, and she's a perfect example of what she's doing. Totally believe in the culture and the tradition, the African tradition, African culture, and so our design is also based on promoting the culture and tradition in Africa. Nancy, again, had something to say. Ankara is super unique. We love our African culture. Tessy is super bold and beautiful. Thank you for that. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you also to Fifi Bode, that joined the show for the first time, I suppose. Sending much love to us. And to everyone that is, that's made comments on the show, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to this for making these comments. And obviously, thank you to the two ladies, the super ladies we brought in today to our show, Moyo Ogunseinde, who is a real estate developer, an architect, a sports administrator, and a designer, and an artist. So she's a woman of many caps. And also to Tessy. Tessy, we just finished speaking to. Obviously, we spoke to her about today. We spoke to her about fashion designing, which she is obviously doing. And Nancy is. Thank you, Nancy, for all the words you've been sending to us. Omotayo Fanny said, hello, Omotayo. Thank you for joining the show. If it's the first time, please, all of you, remember to subscribe to this show, like this show, and we'll keep bringing people into the show to talk about, every aspect of their lives. What have you, we'll keep bringing achievers to the show to talk to. I think Cleopatra also mentioned that Ankara is a new trend in the world. I say amen to that, EP. So hopefully we'll see more of our culture, we'll see more of our wares, we'll see more of our tradition being exported to the rest of the world, just like, the Indian culture, the Chinese culture, which is obviously around the world. African culture also needs to be appreciated all over the world. And I think we're on the right path. We're doing that just now with the likes of Tessy, who is obviously promoting that. So, Yomi, if you are there, it's time for you to come up on this show, and so we can do a bit of rounding up. It's been a wonderful show today. Again, we're sorry for all the technical issues that we might have come across the show today. technology is what it is. We're still learning and keep improving on technology, and especially when we are chatting to people in Africa, So we just hopefully keep watching and learning from technology, and obviously working towards enhancing it and building it more to suit our needs and the needs of people back in Africa. So, Yomi, if you're there, um, it is now time for you to come up and so we can discuss and obviously round up on the show. We're supposed to have some other people coming up on the show today to discuss the English Premier League, and especially Liverpool winning, officially winning. We knew they won the league. I mean, weeks ago, if not months ago. But the coronavirus and COVID-19 delayed the coronation of Liverpool. But they are now officially the champions of England. Um, Rarity. I mean, they are the Champions League current champions. They are the champions of England, and I think they are the World Club champions at the moment, which is a plus for the city of Liverpool, especially after 30 years of waiting to win something tangible in England. So, congratulations to Liverpool, and I hope they enjoy every bit of this coronation as the new kings of the English Premier League. Congratulations to them. And things are slowly getting back to normal in the UK. Yesterday was Super Saturday, so it was a day where it was more like a re-independence day for people in UK. So people were able to go out to the pub, people were able to go out to to the park, and people were able to congregate and obviously enjoy and get to meet the families and friends again after the long 3-month plus lockdown. So as you go out to enjoy yourself, please stay safe. If you're going to be in the pub, again, continue to observe and stay alert. Like the government says, stay alert, stay alert. I mean, we hope we don't have a second wave of the coronavirus, just like it's trending around other countries of the world now. In Israel, they open up, and there have been reports of second waves of coronavirus. In Australia, the same thing. In China, the same thing. So please stay alert. And to all our friends, our brothers and sisters in Africa, we have you. We have you in mind, because our prayers and thoughts are all with you all. Please keep safe wherever you are. Don't forget to wash your hands. Don't forget to keep the distance. In Africa especially. So don't forget to share the love. Be your brother's keeper, even at this time, because there's some who are not able to, attend to business because of the coronavirus. People are not able to go to work. Well, as much as you can, be your brother's keepers and help to get coronavirus off our planet Earth. So, Yomi,
Yeah.
it's been we've had two super ladies in today, two super women, to talk about the passion, to talk about their dreams, and especially we had the Moyo who was coming to talk about how easy it was, or how difficult it was to transmit from being someone here in the UK in the diaspora to Nigeria. So, what's your take on our show today?
Wow, I've actually been enjoying everything that's been going on in the background. Actually, this week has been very nice. Guests that we've had, so it's been a very good session. I really enjoyed it's quite insightful and educative, the discussion. So And it's good to know that women folks are doing great in Africa. So maybe that's a challenge to us to pack our bags
and just move to Nigeria
and move back home. Yeah. So that was quite good.
Yeah.
I've just been, I've just been waiting to see the roundup of the Premier League. So it's been a crazy weekend.
It's been a crazy weekend. Now, the match between Southampton and Man City just ended about 17 minutes ago. So Southampton actually defeated Man City 1-0.
Yeah,
and,
so that's the result.
Yeah, it's been a crazy weekend.
Adams, scored the goal. So that's it. And Liverpool managed to win again today, 2-0. Newcastle 2, West Ham United 2. Burnley 1, Sheffield United 1. So you can see the table there that Chelsea is still in prime position for the Champions League.
Yeah.
And Sheffield United is in 8th position now. So Arsenal has moved to 7th. And then, so Manchester United seems to be the team in form. What do you think?
Yeah, I think
they look
so.
like the one that's going to give us problems, right?
Yeah, I think so. And just quickly, just to say, in the La Liga, it's now Villarreal 1 and Barcelona 1. And our boy, a Nigerian boy, Samuel Chukwueze, plays for Villarreal. Yeah. So Moreno is just scored against Barcelona in the game being played today.
Real Madrid won earlier, so
they won earlier, so they're
scored. So that means the title might be
going to the wire
next week. Yeah,
it might be. So if Barcelona
if Barca keep dropping points, because now it's gone to 6 points.
Yeah, if they drop these points now, if they lose this or draw. So we'll keep tabs on that. In Germany, Bayern Munich is already champions, and they also won the DFB Cup yesterday, being so they seem to be the team to
beat
in Europe at the moment. And especially,
so what do you think about Spurs? They moved to 10th position now.
Well, Spurs, it's
they must win their next game to get back into Europa.
Yes, they must, and it's not been easy for Jose Mourinho there, and in Spurs. I actually think he needs to get more players, get more quality players in Spurs.
Yeah, their team is rubbish. But apart from that, I think Jose also needs to learn to forgive players. I know managers do have their favorites, but I think Jose sometimes players feels them and he kind of reacts to that. Because someone like Ndobele, I think, is a very good player, but he's quite lazy. And when he moved to Spurs, he was quite heavy. In fact, there was a particular match where I was telling people watching with me at home that this guy wouldn't last 30 minutes. He was too heavy. His thighs were very big. He was moving so slow. And just like that, within 15 minutes, he's pulled a muscle and he's gone out. And Jose was furious. So you can understand that. But I think if you can get him to play with Sissoko and in good form, those are the two best, bet for the central midfield position, which I think that's where the problem is. And they need to get defenders as well. So
I'm sure Mourinho is noting that, and I'm sure he would obviously do something about getting Spurs, because Mourinho, if he likes it or not, is probably on his last leg in England as far as England is concerned. Because after the teams he's coached in England, Chelsea, Man United, now Spurs, he needs to do something.
The only club left is probably Liverpool and Arsenal. So.
And I don't think they will go his way. I mean, I don't think Liverpool will probably take him on, and Arsenal probably the fact that he's coached.
I think the problem with England, if you ask me though, is there are a lot of people, uneducated people who just harp on the same things that even it doesn't make sense. They build this reputation that is not true, and they just keep talking about it, irrespective of what's happening in front of them. So they gave him this reputation of a defensive coach.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what's going on the pitch, they blame him for that.
Exactly.
So it's ridiculous, because when you see the last game against Sheffield United, they had 4 strikers. Yet they lost 3-1.
3-1.
So how do you blame the coach for that? You want an offensive game, he's giving you an offensive game. So if these strikers can't finish the chances and then they don't track back to defend, then basically they're playing at his advantage, right? Because they have only 5 players defending. So and that was terrible. So
and don't forget
for a team like that, they need to take their chances, they need to score first, and they need to build on that, then they can play their game. But I don't think Mourinho is telling them when you get into the last
goal. They scored the goal that was for me.
That was good, right?
A good goal,
and I think that was rubbish decision, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that goal probably got into them too, because it should have been 1-1 that time. It could have.
I think mentally they lost it from that point.
They lost it from there. So if it had been 1-1, then it could probably have led to a resurgence in.
And that happened yesterday as well. Against Man United and Bournemouth, right? So if they've equalized 3-3, it could have been a different game.
It would have been a different game.
So not getting that goal when they're up for it, they could have scored earlier in the second half. They didn't score. They eventually got the penalty. And then if they had gotten 3-3, it could have been a different game.
Yes.
But for a team that's struggling, as soon as that goal was chucked off,
and that was it.
They were deflected. And then it just went on and they didn't mark the guy and he just scored. And that's it. From that point, the game was over. So
that's the joy. That's the joy of the English Premiership and Premier League, and that's why it's probably the most entertaining in the world at the moment, because you can never predict. I mean, you could have another Leicester along the line. I mean, it's not like a two-horse race like you probably see in Germany, in Spain.
Yeah.
If it's not Barcelona, it will be Real Madrid, or in France, where it will always be PSG. So it's in England. It's not like that. I mean, a Burnley next year, who knows? Might go all the way. I
mean, they've outdid themselves already this season. And I think Wolves also have done very well this season.
Oh, they've done credit them well, especially with their coach.
I just hope that next season, because this season, early in the season when they were so busy in Europa League, their form were very bad.
Went down.
So So I hope they strengthen their team and they don't lose some of their best players so that they can compete in Europe and also in Premier League next season.
I think so. I think we've got some exciting players coming into the Premier League. Despite the COVID-19, Chelsea's recruiting wisely. Obviously, they still need to probably show up their defense because they show some defensive frailty every time they play.
No, I mean,
I want to give
Chelsea should be doing much better now, actually.
So because the game against West Ham, but for the defensive frailty, I mean, they could have easily won that game or at least get a draw from it. But they just.
But honestly, I blame Lampard for that defeat, though. I mean, when I saw the team list, I knew we're going to have problem, right? When you play teams like West Ham, Crystal Palace, Burnley, or you know what you're going to face, right? Especially some of these teams managed by these old English coaches, right? They're going to push it. They're going to keep lumping it at you. So we're already equipped for that. So it's either you play three at the back or you just drop one of them, and obviously after the first half, even if you made a mistake in your own calculations at the beginning, right? By the beginning of the second half, it was obvious that Rudiger was struggling, right? And so then you should have just taken him off and bring Zuma. He didn't do that. And if you don't want to remove him, then why don't you remove one of the midfielders after we've gone 2-2, right? And just drop in Zuma as a three defenders at the back, right? And then push Alonso, who's not a good defender anyway, into the wing half that where is much better, right? And then we could have pushed up and maybe get another goal. But he wasn't doing that. He gave West Ham the confidence that they can get back at us. And they were playing only one guy, and every time he backs into them, we lose the ball, and it becomes panic stations, right?
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure what he was reading. I was at home. I was like, please get Zuma in. In fact, when we equalized, when he scored a penalty, he should have gotten Zuma in. You know, even if you can't win that game, please just secure the 1 point. It keeps you in contact with the people in front of you, right? Yeah. And he didn't do that. Well, thank goodness he finally made the right decision yesterday.
Yes,
you know, but trust me, if I played Rudiger yesterday, we would have lost that game. Yeah. You can see Zuma he took control of he won about 99% of the area balls. You know, and that's what you needed to do. Put Zuma on Antonio. That's all. And allow Christensen to mop up. So he was bullying Christensen, right? And when the ball gets back, Rudiger was all over the place. But if I play Zuma there, we would have gotten the first ball, and then you allow Kante to mop up. You know, it was so simple, yet he made it so difficult because he has this, you know, affinity for his favorites. And I think you should think more about the club. At this point, every point counts. You can't have sentiments as a coach. That game, Rudiger was not the best solution, right? So you shouldn't have played him. But I hope we learn going forward, because what I noticed is once the team is comfortable, Lampard goes back to his normal things, choosing favorites, you know, and then when they're in trouble, all of a sudden he brings the players back. And I think that's not good enough. Every time we had a chance this season to leapfrog the people in front of us, we've decided to go and play with the game and mess it up.
I think we obviously need to be a bit careful with him too, because he's a young manager. I mean, this is just his second club. This is about just his third year managing. Yeah. And obviously his first big club. No disrespect to Derby County. We started out at Derby County and, you know, learned his trades before moving to a club like Chelsea, because the key thing why he was chosen for Chelsea was to be a unifying factor, because Sarri obviously did a rather bad job, you know. There was so much division in Chelsea team. Chelsea when Sarri was there and when he left. So Lampard was brought in to be a unifying factor, stabilize the team, hopefully get Chelsea a Champions League spot, and then probably build up from there. You know, because I think they're on the right track. They've recruited some very.
Also coupled with the fact that we couldn't recruit at the beginning of the season as well.
Exactly, you know, because of the transfer ban. So now he's getting some exciting players in. ZH is coming in. Timo Werner is coming in. So if he gets,
we might get Kai as well. You know, so we'll probably have. Yeah. But at this point, actually, Pulisic has really gotten into his own. So.
Oh yes. You know,
so we have a complete front three, to be honest.
Yeah. So I think the ideology, Frank, is probably Lampard's trying to build into Chelsea is probably. Sometimes I was having a read through, and I was probably just researching it. If you score 3, we score 5. Okay. Yeah. You know, but again, in football, especially in English football, it doesn't usually work like that, because you know teams, especially when you're playing with teams that are struggling, you know, they wouldn't mind defending with 10 players and just leave one outfit there just at the top to just fill in the gap and disturb you. So you need to have that person or those persons to break down those 10 people. We don't have an Hazard that could probably do his magic, you know, and get us that goal, you know.
That's what I'm saying, that Pulisic is gradually becoming kind of the Hazard now.
Yeah. So
hopefully when ZH comes in, if he delivers like he was in Ajax, then we will have actually 2 good players going forward.
Yeah.
And if we need to go play counter-attack football as well, the German guy, Werner, is very fast as well.
Yes.
So, and if we get Kai to play just behind the front guy as well, he's a very good creative attacking midfielder. So, you know, we kind of all made up in front. But I would like him to keep, even if for one season, William though.
Okay, William. Yeah.
For one season, because if he goes to Man United, it's going to be a big disadvantage to Chelsea. Because Man United is already very strong now, and it's going to strengthen them.
So the issue with William is he wants a 3-year contract because he's at that age now where he needs to again look after himself and his family, and I wouldn't blame him because if you want a 3-year contract at that age, and if they're saying no, we can only give you 1, and there are teams that can give you 3 years, so obviously you would.
In that case, I think you should just go to Arsenal.
Yeah. So no, you can't. I mean, there's no. Even Frank Lampard, when Frank Lampard was in Chelsea and they wouldn't give him what he wanted, what did he do?
Yeah, he went to City.
So I mean, we wouldn't begrudge him if he does that. Yeah. He's been a good servant for that club, for Chelsea. He's been there now for 7 seasons or so. So he's been a very good servant. So
for them,
he would obviously go with the best wishes because he's already said, listen, guys, I need to look after myself and my family. So if you give me 3 years, I'll stay. If you give me 1 year, sorry, I can't. So it's left for the Chelsea board. Obviously they got this policy of not giving anyone above 30 more than 2 years. It's Giroud's already got 1 more year, So we see if William is going to break that mold and get the 3 years. So
what do we have for next week?
Next week we'll see. We'll keep that in our pockets for now, and just be on the lookout on our Twitter feed. So did I say Twitter? On our Instagram feed. And you get more updates on that. But the key thing is for people to subscribe to the show, like our uploads, and follow us on Instagram. And we would continue to get
you next week.
People that matter. And we'll see you next week. Wherever you're watching, have a very good week ahead of you. And please keep safe. Stay alert.